In 3 seconds, I'll show you how to see through anyone's mask. Ready? You're terrified someone will see the real you. The version you hide behind jokes, achievements, and perfect social media posts. Here's the twist. While you're hiding, everyone else is doing the same thing. And I'm about to show you exactly how to see through it. This isn't mind reading. It's Nietzsche's 3-step method that reveals anyone's true self in under 60 seconds. Psychologists charge $200 an hour for this insight. By the end of this video, you'll spot hidden pain, secret fears, and buried shame just by watching someone breathe. But first, let me prove this works. Think about the last time someone said, "I'm fine," while their voice cracked. Or when someone laughed too quickly after making a mistake. You felt it, didn't you? That moment when their mask slipped? That wasn't coincidence. That was their unconscious mind betraying their performance. And once you learn to see these cracks, you can't unsee them. See, most people think human behavior is random. It's not. Every gesture, every word choice, every micro-expression follows a pattern. Nietzsche discovered these patterns over 150 years ago, but modern psychology has buried them under jargon and therapy sessions. The truth is simpler and darker than you think. We're all walking around with invisible wounds, desperate to hide them from the world. But here's what's fascinating. The harder someone tries to hide their pain, the more obvious it becomes to anyone who knows what to look for. This method isn't about manipulation or mind games, it's about understanding. Because when you truly see someone's hidden struggles, you stop taking their behavior personally. You realize their anger isn't about you, their criticism isn't about you, their need to control isn't about you. It's about the terrified child still living inside their adult body. And here's the part that will change everything. Once you master seeing others clearly, you'll finally understand why you do the things you do, why you people please, why you avoid conflict, why you stay small when you could shine. This isn't just about reading people, it's about freeing yourself from the invisible chains you've been wearing your entire life. These 3 steps, detect the mask, spot the cracks, and decode the wound, will transform how you see every interaction, every relationship, every conversation for the rest of your life. Are you ready to see what everyone else is desperate to hide? Here's the shocking truth. You lie to yourself 35 times before breakfast. And everyone around you, they're doing the same thing. Everyone wears a mask to survive. Here's how to rip it off. The phone test. Watch someone when their phone buzzes. Do they flip it face down? Lock it instantly? That split-second panic? That's fear of exposure. The confidence trap. Someone says, "I don't care what people think," while checking their appearance in every reflection. Their words lie. Their actions confess. Real confidence doesn't announce itself, it just exists. But here's what most people miss. Masks aren't just about hiding flaws. They're survival mechanisms built from childhood trauma. The class clown learned that being funny kept them from getting hurt. The people pleaser discovered that being agreeable prevented abandonment. The perfectionist found out that mistakes meant rejection. These masks become so automatic that people forget they're wearing them. They think their false self is their real self. They've been performing for so long, they don't remember who they were before the show began. The overcompensation signal. Watch for people who go too far in one direction. The person who's always positive has buried their sadness so deep they can't access it anymore. The one who never shows weakness has convinced themselves that vulnerability equals death. The energy mismatch. Pay attention to when someone's energy doesn't match their words. They say they're excited about their promotion, but their shoulders are tense. They claim they're happy in their relationship, but their smile never reaches their eyes. The body keeps the score even when the mind lies. The timing tell. Notice how long it takes someone to answer personal questions. Instant responses to "How are you feeling?" are rehearsed. Real emotions need a moment to surface. When someone has a perfect answer ready for everything, they're not thinking, they're reciting. The critic's confession. People attack what they fear in themselves. The person who hates lazy people, they're fighting their own urge to quit. The one who mocks emotional people, they're drowning their own tears. This isn't projection, it's confession. The virtue signal. Someone posts about kindness while treating waiters like garbage. Someone preaches honesty while lying about their weekend. True virtue doesn't need applause. The mirror effect. Here's something disturbing. People often become what they judge. The person who constantly criticizes others for being fake becomes the most inauthentic person in the room. They're so focused on spotting masks that they perfect their own. The control freak. People obsessed with perfect schedules fear internal chaos. The micromanager isn't strong. They're terrified. Want proof? Think of someone who annoys you most. What specific trait bothers you? That's your own hidden fear staring back. But that's not the craziest part. Masks crack under pressure. Here's where to look. The over-explainer. When someone justifies themselves before you even question them, they're not explaining to you. They're convincing themselves. It's anxiety wearing a logic costume. The comedian's curse. Constant jokes are emotional armor. The class clown isn't happy. They're hiding something that hurts too much to say directly. The subject changer. Bring up feelings and watch them pivot to weather, work, or anything else. They're not avoiding you. They're running from themselves. But here's what reveals the deepest cracks. Stress. When pressure builds, masks slip. The composed manager snaps at their assistant. The spiritual guru loses it in traffic. The relationship expert can't keep their own marriage together. The inconsistency pattern. Watch for contradictions across different settings. Someone's a saint at church, but cruel to their family. They're generous with strangers, but stingy with loved ones. These inconsistencies aren't personality quirks. They're evidence of multiple masks worn for different audiences. The trigger response. Everyone has specific words or situations that make their mask crack instantly. Mention their ex and watch their energy shift. Bring up their childhood and see them deflect. These triggers are doorways to their deepest wounds. The silence. Fear. Some people can't tolerate quiet moments. They fill every pause with words, music, or activity. Silence makes them confront what they're running from, so they keep the noise going. The inability to be alone with their thoughts reveals everything. The status anxiety. Notice who needs constant validation. They name drop, overshare achievements, or fish for compliments. This isn't confidence. It's a desperate attempt to prove they matter. Real security doesn't need external proof. The ready-made response. Ask about their biggest fear, and they give a perfect answer in 2 seconds. That's a rehearsed shield, not truth. The perfectionist's prison. I never get upset, or I always stay positive. Nobody lives in absolutes. Extremes hide what's too painful to admit. The emotional leak. Even the best masks have tiny leaks. A micro expression of disgust when they smile. A slight voice tremor when discussing certain topics. A hand that unconsciously covers their heart when lying. The body tells the truth, the mouth won't speak. The loudest person in the room is often the quietest inside. Attention isn't confidence, it's a cry for existence. The blame game. If someone can't admit fault, It's not arrogance. It's shame so deep that one mistake feels like total worthlessness. But here's where it gets really dark. Every mask hides a wound. Every behavior protects a pain. The beliefs behind the behavior. Love isn't real, isn't philosophy. It's a scar from betrayal. People can't be trusted isn't wisdom. It's trauma wearing smart clothes. The childhood script. The ignored child becomes the interrupter. The criticized child becomes the perfectionist. We don't outgrow our wounds. We build adult lives around them. Here's the dark truth. Most people are still trying to solve childhood problems with adult solutions. The workaholic isn't driven by ambition. They're still trying to earn the love their parents withheld. The people pleaser isn't kind. They're terrified of abandonment. The rebel isn't free. They're still fighting authority figures who crushed their spirit decades ago. The wound signatures. Each wound leaves a unique signature. Abandonment wounds create clingy behavior or extreme independence. Betrayal wounds create either blind trust or paranoid suspicion. Shame wounds create either arrogance or self-hatred. The behavior is different, but the wound pattern is identical. The repetition. Compulsion. People unconsciously recreate their original trauma. The abandoned child becomes an adult who dates people who leave. The criticized child becomes an adult who seeks approval from critical people. They're not choosing poorly. They're trying to master an old wound by reliving it. The dominance display. Someone who needs to win every argument isn't confident. They're terrified of being wrong because wrong once meant unloved. The attention addiction. The person who overshares, interrupts, and steals spotlight isn't selfish. They're scared of disappearing. Silence feels like death. The protective rebellion. Some wounds create opposite behaviors. The child who is controlled becomes the adult who can't commit. The child who is criticized becomes the adult who can't accept feedback. The child who was smothered becomes the adult who can't be vulnerable. They think they're free, but they're still imprisoned by the original wound. The person they mock is the person they wish they could be. Envy isn't hatred. It's grief for the self they buried. The pattern prison. Someone ghosts because intimacy terrifies them. Someone overworks because stillness feels dangerous. Behavior isn't random. It's a survival strategy that's outlived its purpose. The projection mirror. What you judge in others lives in you too. The harsh critic, they're their own worst enemy. Remember that phone flip from the beginning? Now you know it wasn't about privacy. It was about protection. Every mask you spot, every crack you see, every wound you decode, they all exist in you too. The person who doesn't care what people think while hiding their phone, that's you checking your appearance before a video call. The over-explainer? That's you justifying your choices to yourself at 3 a.m. The comedian deflecting pain? That's you making jokes when things get too real. But here's the shift that changes everything. When you see someone's mask slip, you don't feel superior anymore. You feel compassion. Because you recognize the same fear, the same pain, the same desperate need to be accepted that lives inside you. The control freak micromanaging their team, that's you organizing your desk when life feels chaotic. The perfectionist who can't admit mistakes, that's you deleting and rewriting texts 15 times. The attention seeker dominating conversations, that's you posting on social media, hoping someone will notice you exist. We're all walking wounded, pretending to be whole. We're all terrified children wearing adult costumes, hoping no one discovers we don't have it figured out. The difference is, now you can see it, and seeing it changes everything. When your boss snaps at you, you don't take it personally anymore. You see the scared child who learned that control equals safety. When your friend ghosts you, you don't feel rejected. You see the wounded soul who learned that leaving first prevents being left. When your partner criticizes you, you don't get defensive. You see the hurt person who learned that pointing out flaws deflects attention from their own. This isn't about becoming a therapist for everyone around you. It's about freeing yourself from the exhausting game of taking other people's behavior personally. Because here's what Nietzsche knew. The moment you stop defending against other people's pain, you stop defending against your own. The moment you see their masks clearly, you can finally remove yours. Here's what Nietzsche really wanted. Not to judge others, but to free yourself. Because once you see everyone's masks, you realize yours isn't protecting you anymore. It's imprisoning you. The real question isn't whether you can see through others. It's whether you're brave enough to be seen. You now have X-ray vision for human behavior. Use it wisely. But here's the real question. Now that you can see everyone's mask, are you ready to take off yours? Think about it. You've spent this entire video learning to see through other people's defenses. But what about your own? What mask are you wearing right now, watching this video? Are you the intellectual who analyzes everything to avoid feeling? The skeptic who questions everything to avoid being vulnerable? The helper who focuses on others to avoid facing themselves? Because here's what happens next. Once you truly see how masks work, yours starts feeling suffocating. The performance becomes exhausting. The false self starts feeling like a prison instead of protection. And that's when the real work begins. Most people stop here. They use this knowledge to feel superior, to judge others, to maintain distance. They become professional mask spotters, but never face their own reflection. They think seeing through others makes them evolved, but they're still hiding from themselves. But not you, because you understand that this journey isn't about them. It's about you. Next week, I'll show you what happens when you stop hiding and meet your real self for the first time. It's terrifying, it's necessary, and it changes everything. I'll walk you through the exact process of removing your mask safely, how to face the wound underneath without being destroyed by it, how to show your true self without losing the people you love, how to be authentic in a world that rewards performance. You'll discover why vulnerability is actually the ultimate power move, why your flaws make you more lovable, not less, why the thing you're most ashamed of might be your greatest gift. But I have to warn you, once you start this process, there's no going back. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't return to the comfortable lie of your false self. The truth will change how you show up in every relationship, every conversation, every moment of your life. Are you ready for that level of transformation? Drop a comment. Which mask do you wear most? The perfectionist, the comedian, the controller, the helper, the rebel? I read every single one. Subscribe if this opened your eyes, because in the next video, we're going deeper than anyone else dares to go. See you in the next dimension.